The season is now over and the transfer speculation is starting to run rife. With that in mind, let's review our squad and see who we should keep and who we should sell. Hi and welcome to Stay Gooned. I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. This is the Red and Whiteboard show bringing you Arsenal news and views. We can finally put this terrible season behind us and maybe look forward to a better future. Obviously, the ideal scenario would have been for KSC to sell up and let someone else come in and try and change the direction that we're heading in. But it looks like they have no intention of selling up and they've already put out the usual rhetoric of doing something special this summer to win the fans back. Arteta's job looks safe too. They're clearly planning the summer business around his ideas. Much work is needed, and with no Europe next season, we need to trim the squad down and strengthen in key areas. So I am going to do a quick squad review and give you my take on who we should keep and who we should move on. I'd love to hear all of your opinions also. Please do comment down below who you would sell and who you would keep. So let's get into it, starting with the goalkeepers. Firstly, Bernd Leno. He had a difficult start to the season with all the added pressure after the whole Martinez debate. He's also made quite a few costly errors this season, but for me, he is a top goalkeeper. He's a great shot stopper, but it's his confidence that I like the most. All goalkeepers make mistakes, but it's the ones that can brush them aside that make it at the highest level and really stand out. And I think Leno has got that in abundance, and I would definitely keep him. Moving on to Runarsson, a panic signing last summer to cover for Leno after we sold Martinez, but just simply not good enough in the games that we have seen him. I don't want to be too harsh on him, but whoever scouted him needs to take a serious look at themselves. I would sell him this summer. Next up, Matt Ryan came in on loan from Brighton in January to cover for the cover, and I think he's looked decent in the few games that we've seen him. Not enough to judge him long term, but I wouldn't be against signing him again or even taking him back on loan, so I'll put him in the keep category. Let's move on to the defenders now, starting with the right backs. Hector Bellerin. There's plenty of talk linking him with a move away this summer. I think he's had a poor season. The injury has affected him, no doubt, but generally I don't rate him as a top right back. We do need a better right back, and I think it's time we parted ways with Hector Bellerin. He's been a great ambassador, but I would sell him this summer. Cedric Soares, this one is really strange. Signed by Arteta last season in January. He's had his injuries, but when he was fit, Arteta bigged him up as one of our best right back. And based upon what I've seen this season, I would agree with that. But Arteta seemed to have completely shut him out in the latter part of the season, preferring Callum Chambers over him at right back. Arteta has done this quite a few times with a few players since he took over, and I just don't get it. Personally, I would keep Cedric as a backup, but we do need to sign a starting right back, and I'd like to keep Cedric just to give that new guy some competition. Next up is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I'm putting him in the right back category because that's where he's mostly played for us. He went out on loan to West Brom in January and he hasn't really made a big impact there. I think it's unlikely he'll make it at Arsenal now. He's had plenty of chances, but he just couldn't nail down a place, and I would also sell him off in the summer. On to the centre-backs now, starting with David Luiz. He's actually already gone, so he goes into the move on category, but I just want to mention I thought he was our best defender last season, and if we had kept him for another year I wouldn't have complained. We will now need to go and sign a centre-back to replace him. Gabriel Magalhaes was a big signing last summer and he made a great start to the season with a string of man-of-the-match performances. Then he had all those issues with the COVID and he ended up having a mixed season by the end of it. I think he's a player that can develop into a leader at the back there, and I'd keep him. Rob Holding. Arteta has relied on him heavily and he's done some good performances, but overall I just don't think he's good enough, and if I was in charge I would be looking to offload him. Pablo Mari, he's been riddled with injuries since he joined us, but when he has played, he hasn't done much wrong. I think keeping him as a backup centre-back would be wise, and with Luiz gone, we'll need that experience there, so he's a keeper. William Saliba hasn't had a chance at Arsenal yet since he moved to us not last summer, the summer before, but going back to France on loan in January was the best thing for him. He's really excelled there and I'm looking forward to him coming back and becoming part of our team. Another keeper for me. And wrapping up the centre backs with Mavropanos. Another guy that's hardly played for us since he signed for us. He spent the season on loan in Germany and he's had a good season. There is talk about bringing him back and giving him a go, but I would be looking to sell him. His stock is high now, and the fact that he's injury prone, I think it's time to cash in on him. On to the left backs now, starting with Kieran Tierney. Absolutely no debate to be had here. One of our players of the season. The only question mark is his injury record, so we do need to sign a cover, but a definite keeper. Sead Kolasinac out on loan since January, and I think that's the last we've seen of him. Despite the fact that he's got a year left in his contract, I think we'll be parting ways, and it's probably the best thing for club and player. On to the midfielders now, and firstly someone that divides the fan base, Granit Xhaka. He's been heavily linked with the move to Roma in recent days, and he's had quite a turbulent time since he joined us. When we first signed him in 2014, I was quite excited because it was a different type of midfielder than what we were used to. His biggest strength, I believe, is his positional discipline. We've had numerous midfielders in the past that would often vacate the centre of the pitch, so I thought Xhaka would offer us that security, but the problem is that he makes too many costly errors and the pace of the league seems to be too fast for him. Since he's been with us, he's been okay, but I don't think he's ripped up any trees, and I do think it's time to move on from him and get a proper midfield partner for Thomas Partey. Last summer's deadline day signing, the big signing of the summer, but he's had an unsettled first season with us. He's had his injury problems and he struggled to adapt, but there's also been a few standout performances, and you can see there's a real player in there. He's a keeper, and I think we'll see a better Thomas Partey next season. Next up is Mohamed El Neni, surprisingly brought back from the cold this season by Mikel Arteta, and I think he's done a good job. He's the perfect squad player, he never complains, and when he plays, he always gives 100%. I think he's technically sound, the type of player that keeps the ball moving, and I would keep him as a squad player. Now on to the players that we had on loan this season. Firstly, Dani Ceballos. It was his second season with us, and I don't think we'll be seeing a third. He struggled this year, he's been in and out of the team, and we can now properly judge him. Quite frankly, he's not the player that we need. He might do well in Spain, but the Premier League is a different animal and he hasn't quite got the physique for it. There's been some good performances, but the average or bad ones outweighed those, and I wouldn't be looking to sign him up again. Martin Ødegaard, also on loan from Real Madrid, is one that I'm undecided on. He's had plenty of minutes since he joined us in January, and it's clear that he's technically very gifted. He can pick a pass and he does work hard also. But would I hang my hat on him? I'm not sure at the moment. I'd like to see more from him. Perhaps another loan spell, but I wouldn't be signing him on a permanent right now. So for now, I'll put him in the move on category. Now on to three guys that we've sent out on loan. Firstly, Joe Willock, a player that I've picked up before in the past and that I've got a lot of time for. He gets a lot of stick from some of the fan base, and people are now calling for us to cash in on him after his successful loan spell at Newcastle. But I think that would be a mistake. He's got the ingredients to be a success with us. He's a goal-scoring midfielder, and those are worth their weight in gold, and it's a department that we're very much lacking in. I think he's outscored the rest of our midfielders 2 seasons in a row now, despite not being a regular starter. I think he was our best player in the early stages of the Europa League this season, and I feel Arteta didn't give him the chances when he was on form. The loan move was right for him in January, and it would have done him the world of good. I say bring him back and make him an understudy to Thomas Partey. They've got similar qualities, both can drive from box to box, and they're not shy to shoot at goal. Willock is still raw, but I think he's a guy that can become pivotal to our team, and he's a keeper for me. Next is Matteo Guendouzi, exiled by Arteta and then sent out on loan this season. Marseille are rumoured to be interested in signing him permanently, and personally I'd sell him up. I've never been convinced by him. There was a lot of hype around him, mostly down to his fighting qualities, but as a footballer I don't think he's that good, so I say move him on. The other guy that is out on loan is of course Lucas Torreira. Struggled at Atletico Madrid, just like he struggled to settle down in London. I think the writing is on the wall with this one. He'll be off this summer and it's the right move. A good player, just not a good fit. Now on to the attacking midfielders. Firstly, Emile Smith-Rowe, a shining star in the second half of the season, and he's had a big impact since he came into the team. Such a clever player with his movement, and he'll only get better. Keep. No debate about the next guy either. Bukayo Saka, my player of the season. He goes straight into the keep box. And also, judging by the poll that I put out last week for our player of the season, most of you are in agreement with me. Next up is Willian, a major contender for our worst signing in history, especially given the wages that he's on. At the time we signed him, I thought it was a shrewd signing, but it just hasn't worked out. He's been terrible and has hampered other players' progression too. Apparently he'll be off to America this summer, and I doubt there'll be many tears shed. Move him on. And now Reece Nelson, another strange scenario. He's one of the players that Willian has hampered, but also he's had niggling injuries, and he now seems to have been totally disregarded by Mikel Arteta. I would say Nelson is arguably the most talented of all our youngsters, but he just hasn't been able to break through like the others. He really should have gone out on loan in January just to get some minutes under his belt. I'm a bit torn with this one because I see the huge potential in him, but at the same time we are well stocked in the wide forward positions. I think I'd keep him, but I'd be looking to send him out on loan next season. And finally onto the forwards. First up, our captain and highest earner, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. A very mediocre season by his high standards, having carried us for the previous 2 seasons. I'm not ready to write him off yet. He's a proven serial goal scorer. He will bounce back. Keep him. Alex Lacazette, he was our top scorer and our best striker this season, but is it time to move him on? He's got a year left on his contract now, so now would be the time. I do really like Laka. He brings unique qualities to the team, but he's not that elite striker that we need, and I think it's time to freshen up our attack, and I'd reluctantly say we need to move him on. Nicolas Pepe, our record signing. I think he's been the standout player in the last couple of months, and he finally looks like he's shaken off the burden of the price tag. He has been the best in terms of output in the final third of the pitch, and he can only get better from here, so he's a definite keeper for me. Eddie Nketiah, like Reece Nelson, he too missed the trick by not going out on loan in January. He's hardly featured in the second half of the season, but I think previously he's been given a fair crack by Arteta, and in that time I haven't seen enough from him to warrant us keeping him. Perhaps at a lower level like the Championship, Eddie Nketiah could thrive, but I don't see him making it at the highest level, so I would sell him this summer. And last but definitely not least, Gabriel Martinelli, another one that goes straight into the keep box. He's got everything to become one of the world's elite players. We just need to nourish that and give him the opportunities to thrive. That concludes the squad. I've not included some of the younger players on the fringes. Those are automatic keeps anyway. I think I've got everyone. If I have missed out a player, let me know in the comments, as well as all of your keep and sells. In the next video, I'll take a look at the areas of the positions that we need to buy in based on my keep and sell list. Thanks to everyone for watching, and remember to hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up wherever you are in the world. Stay safe and stay gooned.